We got to break Cereba up. Cereba is a cartel. We have to own our grid because we paid for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it. The fuel companies, you better buckle up too. Jackson Point pipeline have to be reverted back to the ownership of the country. Oh, Mario, you can't tell them how to operate their business. Well, yes, we can. Having this idea that you're going to impose what's best because of what the law tells you can do will cause an uprising in this country that you've never seen before. My children are going to be saddled with the debt of a billionaire so that he can have his name printed on everything we got around here. Because let me tell you something, this is Dart Island. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we're just working out some bugs, and hopefully you guys can see us streaming. I can't find it on this page yet, but hopefully we're on YouTube and Facebook. We're using some new software, hence the reason why we're working the bugs out as we go along. So just bear with us. One of the topics I was talking about earlier was about the cargo port that the ministers speaking about upgrading and enhancing simply because he feels as if we need to upgrade to accommodate newer ships that are going to be bringing cargo to the Cayman Islands. There's a few things within that article in which CNS wrote, and I think it's Cayman Times I want to address. And those things are the fact that, you know, some of the statements that was made by the minister in regards to bigger ships and newer ships not being able to draft, he's basically suggesting that we're gonna have to dredge out the harbor to build a bigger finger in order to accommodate the bigger and newer ships, and talking about the crane and the capability of going across. One thing I want to point out to the minister that we have roll-on, roll-off ships that don't require cranes that Seaboard uses. Problem is that we've allowed the port to be some sort of political football for so many years, and people do whatever they want just because of their interests and their business interests. But we need to move cargo out of Georgetown, plain and simple. We need to stop talking about it. You know, the political willpower have been absent from any government or any party or any system that have gone through the electoral cycle. They have not been able to get anything realistically done simply because it's all dependent on political mileage. The cargo port need to be moved out of Georgetown Harbor. You can't have cruise and cargo operating from the same port because when cruise ships are in, no cargo can come across the wharf because of liability and all of the insurances and stuff. So that in itself, that in itself is a major factor and a major issue for the Cayman Islands. We import everything. 95, 96, 97% of the stuff that comes to this island comes through ocean freight. So we heavily depend on our cargo products that comes in here for our livelihoods. So we need to make a very hard, strong decision in order to get these things done, where we can move cargo out of the Georgetown Harbor so that pier and that wharf and that area is specifically and only used for the cruise and as an emergency port if we need it for other reasons. But at the end of the day, we need to come to the realistic fact that it can't coexist in Georgetown Harbor. We've known this for many years. And we just haven't seen any politics or any politician or anybody with any bravery to embark on this discussion. Now, we all know that what's going to happen is that they're going to enter into a public-private partnership with probably DART or somebody who has the financial capability to get it done. And again, I don't agree with privatizing any portion of that port. We need to own it always. Hence the reason why we stopped the cruise berthing facility for many reasons. environmental reasons, the fact that we were building a pier to accommodate ships that they claimed couldn't be tendered, but now they clearly tendering them. We can enhance that current location into a very nice home port where we can put nice facilities out there. We can upgrade the Royal Watler Terminal that was poorly done by Meisner Marine in the past. We can get all of these things done once we make those hard decisions. The thing is that you're gonna have those groups that are gonna be against it. You're gonna have those groups that are gonna be for it. The reality is that we need it. Under no circumstances should we not have it. It need to be done. So, and how do we get to that point? Is by making the hard decisions. You're not gonna see too many politicians out there willing to make that decision, and they're not gonna want to make that decision simply because it's not politically, popular for the mileage in which they're gonna want or they're gonna need to get reelected. But the problem is that we gonna have this port. Under no circumstances should we be allowed to be in a position where we got critical cargo goods on a cargo ship that's out in the harbor or out off of the harbor on waiting for the cruise ship passengers and the cruise ships to leave in order for them to come in. We gotta have an alternative location for cargo and leave that location for cruise. And that's just the reality of it. And a lot of people don't really grasp the importance of having this done. Now, if you look into the Bordentown and the Eastern Districts in the Bordentown area, right up to Frank Sound Juncture, or right on that corner before you get to the Frank Sound Road, not to Frank Sound Road, but in that area, there is a lot of quarries that have dug major holes in this country for aggregate. Again, this is something that I constantly talk about. I know that a lot of the quarry owners and a lot of people who benefit from quarries and a lot of people who have land that might want to do quarrying may be upset or may have an issue. But the reality is that Jamaica is such a close neighbor. We have such a strong tie with Jamaica. Throughout history, we have been linked to Jamaica some form, somehow, some way. We just haven't built better relationships with this country simply because we have put ourselves in a whole different light so that we don't be associated, I guess. I don't know. The reality is that there are mountains of aggregate in Jamaica that could cover Cayman over 1,000,000 times 100 feet high. So there's no need to be digging holes in a flat island like Cayman so that we can do construction. Just have a trade agreement with Jamaica where local people here, like myself, I have a quarry in Jamaica. I have a lease on land that we do quarrying in Jamaica. How is it that these other quarry people don't go Jamaica and strike similar deals that they can bring material from Jamaica to fulfill the needs of aggregate in this country, whereas we don't have to impact our environment. But that aside, we already have all of these useless holes that you can't ever use other than, I guess, putting some farm. I don't know what you can put in these because some of them are 50 feet deep. Now, on that corner before you get to the licensing department and breakers, people don't realize that on that corner, that reef ends right there, and then you have open ocean. So if there's ever a place that is ideal or ideally located and situated for us to put a major cargo port, it's right there. And I'm not floating this for no other idea than no other reason than the fact that we need to move cargo where it's a safe harbor. Putting it in the North Sound is off the table. The North Sound is the second largest naturally protected by reef area in the world, 7 square miles or something like that, or a little bit long, a little bit bigger. I googled it and researched it years ago. The North Sound is the second largest safe harbor, natural safe harbor in the world because it's reef protected. So under no circumstances should we even entertain an idea of going in there. And I know many years ago, we were thinking, I was a part of a group that was talking about doing some islands and different things if they had dredged a major canal, a channel in there, right? That they connected all of the already dredged areas that are already there. Just connect them all that you have a proper channel going in and out. That way you don't have these mud lines of people going out in boats. But again, that's a whole nother topic for another day. But In that breakers area, if you go on Google Earth, you'll see where you have from Scott's quarry. I want to say it's Tarpon Springs. I don't know. Stand to be corrected about the name of it. But from that quarry all the way back into Bodden Town are all holes that are adjacent to each other. All we got to do is connect all of those, make one big sea basin in there and come across right there, and we got a safe harbor and port. We can put the fuel, we can put all of the fuel facilities, move them out of residential area. They are in a residential area. They need to be moved out of residential area. We have storage tanks that are in a residential area, for goodness sakes. That need to be moved. It was being suggested from 1979. That has been suggested from the United Nations, right? That facility shouldn't be there. Now, we have to understand that there are some hard decisions that need to be made that are not going to be popular, and people are going to object. You're going to have groups that are going to say, "Oh, we don't need this, we don't need that," and all these other different things. But the reality is that how do we progress as a people? How do we survive? Because we can't put this rabbit back in the hat. We can't put this cat in the bag back in the bag. We can't put the horses back in the stable. They're already out. They're running wild. So we need to figure out how to better build infrastructure to accommodate. And yes, it has to be sustainable. And yes, it has to be environmentally friendly. But no matter what we do in this country from a development standpoint or from a progress standpoint, that isn't going to have some sort of environmental impact. You build a residential home, which there's no moratorium on building homes. You can build as much homes as you can afford to build. And any area in which is zone an area that you can build. But every time you build that home, especially in the eastern districts with no proper sewage system in place, you are having a major impact on the environment. You know why? Because you have to drill a deep well to run off all your gray water in, which goes into the water lens. In case nobody didn't, I mean, people may know this, but people don't talk about it. It's never talked about in any way that people be like, wait a minute. So that's why I'm always very amused by the fly by night environmentalists. You got some people who got environment by heart, genuinely, they do. But then you have those people who just want to be objective to everything. Why is it that they drive their petrol burning car to the meetings? And why is it that they live in a house that have a deep well with a septic that contaminates the water lens? But they don't have a problem with that. Because if they were real environmentalists, right, they would ride a bicycle or get an electric car is not saving the environment, by the way. So for all of you think that an electric car, you helping save the planet, you're not helping save the planet by driving an electric car. So for all of you who are duped into that, get that out of the head. Because the moment you realize the process of lithium mining that runs those batteries, that run those cars, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Oh, and by the way, how you charging those cars up? With a diesel burning generator. So you're not really helping the situation. Stop doing things that you can tap yourself on the shoulder and make yourself feel good at night. Because you ain't really helping by driving an electric car. Get that out of your head. Secondly, when we look at the importance of cargo to this country, we import everything. We don't make anything here. Everything we consume is imported by air or by ocean. So we need to move that port. And one of the main reasons we need to move the port is because when cruise ships are in, no cargo, no activity can go on that port. Other than that, so we need to make sure that we understand what it is that need to be done and that we carefully plan how to get it done in the most sustainable, environmental friendly way, knowing very well that it's going to have an impact, right? A lot of people don't know that some of those cargo ships that come in right now and they're loaded on low tide, they hit the bottom in Georgetown Harbor, they hit ground out there. I can tell you because I've shipped out metal out of that place. I have done some cargo in and off that with barges, and I can tell you, if we want to save Georgetown Harbor, we need to take cargo out of there and stop letting these big ships come straight into shore on low tide days. Some of them hit bottom, some of them sit right on the bottom, and that's a fact. The thing is that these things are never talked about because there's always some glossy ad to tell us something different from what's actually taking place. Kenneth Bryant made some statements within the article in which I read in Cayman Times and CNS, um, making reference to that we need to upgrade the port urgently because the older ships are going out of service and the newer ships are drawing more water and more advanced and it's going to create a hindrance if they can't get into the harbor. Well, he started talking about creams and the reach of creams and the ships are wider. He probably should have went and done some research before he opened his mouth because Seaboard is a roll on, roll off ship, meaning that trucks can drive on the ship, connect the container up, and dry the containers off. No crane required. So if one of your reasonings to upgrade the port urgently is because the cranes are not big enough for the bigger ships, then your reasons are flawed. So I know for sure I'll be getting a call from him probably later on in the week. I don't think he on island addressing this because somebody gonna tell him, but I really don't care. We call a spade a spade. And when I reached out to Kenneth to try to talk to him, he don't answer the phone. So that's his problem. You know, he the only person in the world that has an active survey going around but not paying attention to the survey. So I don't know the reason for even doing the survey. But what we need to do here right now is to make sure that we understand what it is we're up against. And it is that if you look in my background right now, you'll see a cruise ship and you'll see the cranes right now as we speak in the background while we're on this topic. And you can see that it ain't no cargo ship in that port. There's no activity happening on that wharf. That's a live feed. And that's because there's a cruise ship out there. So we need to make sure that we fix this problem and stop talking about it because all we've been doing for the last 30 years is kicking that can down the road with every single issue that we have in this country, every fundamental problem that affects people in this country. We just kick the can down the road, political mileage, enough to get reelected so we can do the same thing over and over, which is nothing. Now, one of the reasons why I take keen interest in this cargo port urgent redevelopment is because I wonder if KB, Kenneth Bryan, that is, think that they're not some very smart, astute, well rounded, focused, plugged in, grounded people paying attention to the comments made in that thing. Because let me tell you something, It's no mystery that Kenneth Bryant went to the Cruise Ship Association. It's no mystery about how he got back a visa to go into the US. It's no mystery behind none of that, how he got awarded as Tourism Person of the Year. McKeever made some calls and made that happen for him. And I can tell the world that. Okay? Because regardless and despite of what anybody may view McKeever, he the best political head we got in politics. I can tell him that he understands politics far better than anybody who's currently elected, and those are the facts. Now you might want to hear that, but those are the facts. Those are the facts, right? But at the end of the day, we need to understand if they think that we're gonna be tricked about upgrading the cargo facility to accommodate bigger ships, meaning we gotta dredge out and put deeper water. So if we gonna accommodate a larger cargo ship, how hard it is for us to allow a cruise ship to park on that same pier? Or how hard it is for us to say, oh well, since we're dredging, maybe we should just dredge it up, dredge enough now so that we can extend that finger so that we can accommodate cruise berthing. Let me tell you something, Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Let me explain this to you. We have a petition that the PPM government cowardly avoided to enact a referendum because Al Din, who has been knighted now, who has agreed with the colonial master system. I wonder if you know what SIR means. Servant I remain. That's what SIR stand for. But if you think by any long shot that the influence that you may have received from the Cruise Ship Association and the cruise ship members in which you've been rubbing shoulders with of recent, because now you can travel to the United States of America again. Let me explain this to you, homeboy, from a ground level, from the Mary Street level, from the ground level. You are not building any cargo facility that can accommodate no cruise ships. You're not dredging no harbor. You need to withdraw that article and that statement and heavily put your interest on moving cargo out of Georgetown so that the cruise lines can enjoy the facility in the harbor uninterrupted or not interrupting cargo, maybe. So at the end of the day, if we're not going to make sound, reasonable, smart, well thought out decisions, don't make no decision at all. Be quiet. Go and check your survey. Go check your little survey and see how popular you really are. Okay? That's what you need to do. And I'm a person that is inspired by your accomplishments simply because me and you come from the same place, ground zero. And I understand the struggle and I understand the things that you got to overcome to be where you are. But don't become an institutionalized puppet that these big industries have manipulated over years. Now, I wrote an article back in 2018, 19, I don't remember, called The New Pirates of the Caribbean. That's the cruise lines. We still haven't to this day put proper structure in place that identify the value and the cost of our tours on island so that our local operators could properly be paid for their services. What we do is we allow the cruise ship to horse trade amongst our tour operators, sell the tour on ship for tons of money, and pay them small amounts per head. And it's still happening right now today, but nobody's fixed that system. I thought that 2 year pause would have given us an opportunity to restructure how we see our value, how we understand our value. 60% of all revenue generated through the cruise industry comes from the Caribbean basin, ladies and gentlemen. That's how powerful we are. That's how strong this region is. But we allow the cruise ships to come in here and do whatever they want, dictate prices, pay what they want, but they collect the lion's share on the ship. So, Canada, if you want to be doing something that's meaningful in regards to cruise and tourism, you need to go out there and start structuring deals that make sure that our people, the people on the ground here, are properly compensated for the services in which they provide. Because you expect so much from the provider, insurance and all these different things, but yet they're not allowed to set the cost and the price of tours on these islands. The cruise ship can say, oh, well, we only paying X amount per head when they charging 5 times that amount on the ship. Come on, man. These are the sort of things that you need to be talking about. Stop talking about trying to pull the wool over our eye about urgent need of enhancement of cargo. You know what we need the urgent need of? Your understanding of what it is you're talking about. We need you to urgently get up to speed. Because I can assure you, it not be no dredging in that harbor. I don't care how urgent you think it is. You're not dredging in that harbor. You need to move cargo out of Georgetown. You have a very plausible plan to put it there. Let's get the work done. Let's get the work done. And let's have the public consultation on that. But we're not entertaining no conversation about no cargo port. You can get that out of your head. End of story. Next thing I want to talk about, and I'll just shimmy over to that because a lot of people not understanding the true impacts of energy in this country on the average person's pocketbook. Okay? A lot of people not really paying close attention. Now, CUC has just been given permission from OFREG to integrate another 3 megawatts onto their core grid, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's just dive right into this because one of my biggest concerns with what is about to take place in regards to that is that on your light bill now there's a renewable energy on there surcharge, and remember the article clearly states, that this 3 extra megawatts on the already existing what they have isn't gonna have any impact at all on the fuel consumption that they are currently using to generate core energy. Okay, all right. Now, the more alternative energy or renewable energy that goes on the grid, the higher cost is going to be to you. That's going to keep increasing. That renewable energy surcharge on your bill, the more they put on the grid, the more that's going to increase. Because the more people who come off the grid with renewable energy, the less people responsible for paying for the fuel. And CUC have a contract that says they allow to pass through all petroleum costs to the consumer. So when you keep reducing the number of people who are responsible for paying it, CUC can't put a fuel factor on a house that don't burn fuel. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen. CUC cannot charge a commercial property or a residential property for fuel if they're not burning fuel. If they have come off the grid and use alternative energy such as solar, wind, or whatever, those persons are no longer responsible for burning fuel, which means what they would have normally paid as a fuel factor on their bill is now redistributed to us in the form of renewable energy surcharge. So understand this, because they didn't get no permission from Mario. I doubt they got any permission from you to implement these things. And then we keep talking about going green and coming off. Listen, if we can go solar, go solar, go solar. Because I can assure you that CUC ain't in no rush to go no alternative. That's not where they make money. For 147,000 gallons of diesel per day, 50 million gallons per year. If one man making 10 cents a gallon, he's a millionaire 10 times over. You think he won't give up that? And that's just 10 cents. And there are 10 cents in a dollar. So if there's a dollar distributed 10 ways, that's 10 millionaires that have a motivated reason to keep the system the way it is. Follow that money. So believe me when I tell you. And this whole breakdown analogy that they got in that article don't sound like a deal to me, because they buying it for a certain amount and selling it for double. I don't think you all are you really understanding what I'm saying? If they're paying 0.17 per kilowatt, right? For the renewable energy system, the 3 megawatt solar plant or wherever power, wherever they put that, and then they're gonna sell it to you, the consumer, for 32 cents. Well, 0.32. So tell me, how is that helping me? So we're not only absorbing the cost of the people who are off the grid with a renewable energy surcharge, we're also paying double for the renewable energy in which you buy in from the people who put it on the grid. So please explain to me how this is in the best interest of the public, and where in the hell is off-reg? Listen, where and when are we going to stand up and do something about this stupidity that's going on? CUC charged us to rebuild a grid after Hurricane Ivan, a pretty penny, and God knows how long. I would like to do an internal audit on how that really went down. And we constantly maintain it and keep it upgraded because there's a charge on there that takes care of that. Then they charge us for the fuel and the oil that runs and keep their generators up and running. Then they turn around and sell us per kilowatt hour distribution on the grid we paid for and maintain. And then we pay for the diesel and all the oils that run the generators. And then they charge us for it. But we're not going to ownership of anything other than the energy that we burn that goes into thin air. That's it. The kilowatt hours is all we got. How do we fix this problem? We need better negotiators at the table. People who are not going to sit down and accept the foolishness that has been going on for 50 years. Data Link, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about it forever until something happens. Data Link is a company owned by CUC that charges all other utility companies, all of the Digicel and the Flow and the Logic and the C3 and all of those people who are on the grid, hooking up all the little wires, giving you TV and fiber optic and all that stuff. They pay Data Link, which is a company owned by CUC or Fortis, whoever, and they carry home all the profits. So if they were good corporate citizens, knowing very well that they charging people to be on a grid that, one, we paid for, and two, we paid to maintain, and it on our land, and it belonged to us. They got the audacity to form a subsidiary company to charge people, keep the money, and don't even say, okay, we're going to charge people to use the grid. We're going to take into consideration you, the people, have paid for it, you maintain it, you keep it up and running. Oh, and by the way, on your land, we're gonna give you all that money as a contribution towards the cost of fuel. Why they don't take the millions of dollars they collect every year and put it to offset the cost of fuel to at least bring it down by a fraction, no matter what, but at least it's given back to the people, right? Because when we take the grid CUC, and let me just say that very boldly, when we take the grid back, we'll be collecting the data link money. And that money could be distributed to use for better purposes other than put it in your shareholders' pocket. I'm sorry, but that can't fly no more. You guys have gotten away with this for far too long because we had too many sleepers, too many smile and wave people, too many complacent people, kind-hearted and nice, and then I took advantage of them. But that's not happening no more. No, 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 no. We awake now. We understand what's taking place. And all the little lubby-dubby contract and going agreements and got in that contract, that going away. I don't care how many glossy ads you put out with Caymanians. Oh, Caymanians are doing this in CUC. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I started to see that now. Never seen that before. And I got a PR monster over there now, pumping out every time I turn around. CUC got some sort of thing in the papers or, or on social media. Ridiculous. But I not buying it. I not buying that for a minute. No, 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 no. Uh-uh. I just know that there are a lot of things that we need to address in this country. And I can tell you, if we don't take these things serious, we're gonna have a serious problem in our hands very, very soon. I'm gonna point out something to you all here right now that a lot of people haven't really a lot of people have, excuse me, but there's a lot of the people that haven't really taken notice of any of these things. There are four essentials to life. Four, right? Healthcare, education, food, and housing. Four things that we work hard to attain to have some sort of a happy or decent or good life. All right? Let's take housing out for a second. Let's focus on healthcare, let's focus on food, and let's focus on education. Okay? Now, we all know that healthy food is extremely expensive. And why? Why? Because our ancestors grew all of their food. It didn't cost them nothing to do other than labor, time, and hard work. That's it. Healthy food is expensive, so the poor person can't afford it, so they're going to continue to eat the unhealthy food. Oh, and by the way, then they're going to get sick, right? And when they get sick, their health care is only as good as what they can afford. So top-notch health care, again, super expensive, and poor people can't afford it. So let's look at the categories, right? Just pay attention, right? Food, healthy food, expensive, poor man can't afford it. So he doomed to eat unhealthy food. When he get unhealthy by eating the unhealthy food, he gets sick. Then when he go into the hospital, he can't afford top-notch, top-tier healthcare. So therefore, he either end up suffering for long periods of time, spending whatever savings he have, or God forbid, ultimately dying from it because he can't afford to stay alive, he's too poor. Then we go to energy. We go to energy. The funny thing about the energy is that the average person in this country can't afford to put solar on their house. They can't afford to come off the grid. The rich people can, and they coming off. And some of the people who are middle class and a little above, they coming off the grid. They can buy solar. The poor people are the ones who are now saddled with the 100% pass-through cost of fuel. We saddled with it because we can't afford to buy solar to come off of it. You understand what I'm saying? Then education, and then when you look at and let me just go back for health for a second. And this is. I mean, if Health City wants to send their lawyers out, they can go right ahead. Why is it at Health City you have an executive checkup that costs $700 thereabouts? I can be wrong. The number I could be off. How is it that you have a categorized checkup at Health City? Ladies and gentlemen, how can we accept the fact that a hospital that has been built in our island for medical tourism reasons have now become a major competitor to our HSA. And that's number one. They billing hospital up down by Dart now. Dart gonna make sure he got hospital for his elite customers that he billing his development for, right? But they have a healthcare, they have a health checkup package at Health City called the executive, and then a breakdown. How in the world can we even sleep at night knowing that a hospital have a category? All that basically saying is that, all right, here's a rich person checkup list. So we gonna give you the executive checkup, and we're gonna do a thorough checkup to find out if anything wrong with you. We're gonna save your life. But oh, the poor man going in, he get the $100 checkup. So he don't get the full screen. And so if he got any issues, they'll never know because they're not doing that. And half the reason why they got it set up that way because they know the person that picked the executive one can afford to pay for the medicine for any anomalies that they find, or the insurance good that they can cover it. The poor man, no, mm-mm. And I can tell you that's the reality. Why is it not a standard that we all get the same checkup? Because we're all human, right? We all live here, right? And we all have the same ultimate common desire to stay healthy and stay alive for as long as possible, right? So we can be around our loved ones, our families, and extended friends, or whatever, right? I don't think there's one person, rich or poor, that'll go to a hospital for the reason that, oh, let me take the poor man package because if I do have some issues going on, I can't afford to even fix it, so I don't want to know. The fact that we have a category for a checkup in this country is a grave mistake. Why not standard? Why a thorough checkup of all human beings on this island by Dr. Shetty Hospital isn't standard and free? Because you don't want to know about all the things that got waived up there, concessions and liabilities and all sorts of stuff. You understand? Makiba never roll out the red carpet for them. He roll out the diamond carpet. Not a gold, not a bronze, no, diamonds. Yeah, they got all the bells and whistles. But yet, man walk into the hospital and say, listen, I need to get a checkup. Sir, here's the category. You choose the poor man one, the average man one, and then the executive one, whichever. But just know, if you got something on the line and you pick this one, we not find that. We can't alert you to it. And 99.9% of all cure is preventative measures, right? Prevention better than cure. Early detection. But these people are allowed to have a category. And I don't care for all them people out there who think that that's the greatest thing and want to go ahead and think that on the prerogative and think one and one. I'm telling you how to think. I just telling you that we don't need that sort of division in this country. It should be a standard to check everybody healthcare properly. If you're going for annual checkup, do an annual checkup thoroughly. The amount of concessions we've given that institution, those checkups is small in comparison. So I don't understand why it's an issue. But again, these are the things that we let go unchecked. But not anymore. These are the things that we're gonna bring back in, we're gonna deal with. And when you go back to the energy and the price of these things, and we understand that poor people are always on the disadvantaged end of these things. Poor people can't afford the healthy food to keep you healthy. Poor people can't afford the alternative energy to reduce their fuel consumption so they don't pay the high electricity bill. Poor people can't afford the best health care, hence the reason why they're sick for many years and spend and deplete all of their family resources and then end up dying at the end of the day because they're too poor. Because we've created a system that only cater to those who have money. And ain't nothing wrong with people who have money, That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that they're not the only ones that deserve to live too. 99% of all wealth in this world is on the backs of poor people. But yet only 1% of the people enjoy the wealth that comes from it. These are the sort of things that we need to talk. Now, I know that there are a lot of issues going on in our country, and everything is so fast paced, you can't pin one thing down. But we need to start prioritizing things that are important. We need to start prioritizing the continuity, sustainability of our people. It's not a lot of us. I went to the seminar I went to the public consultation in Northside for the East-West Arteria bypass road. And I leave that one for last because I leave this topic for last because this is the one that bothers me the most, right? I saw a video on the Cayman Compass website where they were showing these aerial shots of traffic, and they had this Caymanian girl speaking and talking pure rubbish. I mean, I don't understand how the Compass could encourage such far left and incorrect statements. The girl that narrating the video said that a bypass in the East-West Arteria won't alleviate traffic and cause more traffic. Obviously, she didn't go into how she come to that conclusion, but I just want to know, how is it we have allowed people who come to Cayman, we've given them permanent residency, we've given them status, we allowed them to be a part of the fabric in the landscape, we allowed them to call themselves Caymanians, but yet every single time we need to have some sort of infrastructural upgrade in order to accommodate the local people, these are the only people that bark in the loudest. How is it that people like Melanie Carmichael has never navigated one of these videos? Why she didn't speak on the video that the Compass had? You know why? Because she have a heavy British accent. And it will just sound like a British person trying to tell us what to do again, which is no surprise. And if she wanted to live in some paradise that look or is the way that she wanted to be, go back to England. Oh, I forgot. They don't have beaches in England. They don't have a paradise in England. They don't have year-round 89, 90-degree weather in England. Oh, and by the way, you can't live the life in England that you can in Cayman. I forgot that. But yet, you come here and you want to tell us what we should and what we shouldn't do, when we should do it, and how we should do it. So a message to all permanent residences that are involved with trying to dictate what we do in our country, and listen to what I said. A message to all people with permanent residence and status in this country that insist on getting themselves involved with dictating what we do as a country. Listen to me good. Pray the day don't come that people that think like me get into power, because what cabinet grant, cabinet can revoke. And you are all the type of people that need to be sent away off of this island. We need to revoke your permanent residency. We need to revoke your status, put you on a rollover policy, and send you home. Because it seemed like you've forgotten that you left where you from to come to live here for a reason. And maybe you need to be reminded of that. The rollover policy that we first put in place was a botched idea because they only focused on poor people. That was to control the cheap laborers. That's what that was for. And then only the executive level can get key employee status. Foolishness. But if we put proper structure in place, we need to put a moratorium on permanent residences, and we need to put a moratorium on status grants in this country, because we have not been able to properly digest the people who are privileged to have those things now. Because now want to try and turn us into another country. And to come Cayman and try to turn us into where we want to run from. And then when we object, then we are not caring about the environment. We're not doing this. You're talking about the most important ecosystem in the Caribbean or the world or whatever is on the border of where we put in a road that is needed, not wanted, but needed in this country. But yet, half on a living in a house with a gray water well that pumping septic water and sink water into our water table, and you sleep good at night doing that. So at the end of the day, whereas your opinion is your opinion and we don't have nothing against it, but your ploy to try to stop us from building a road in this country where it's infrastructurally streamed for people in the eastern districts. I never hear nobody out there protesting when they were building that road to Barabanu. They protest for closing the West Bay Road, which I was a part of too. I didn't want to see the West Bay Road closed. It was no need. It was because Dart wanted to put his big hotel on our beach. Then they turn around and build another big hotel on our land where we were supposed to have for parking lot. And nobody has said nothing about that. How come now they're protesting that hotel being built on where the parking lot for 7 Mile Beach is supposed to be? Now, all we inadvertently done was allow them to build a hotel that our public beach now will be overrun with the people from that hotel. Because you notice how far away from the beach that is? That hotel is to accommodate the lower end stay over tourism. And those are the people that are going to have a problem going on that 7 Mile Beach or on that public beach. So the locals that are stand a chance in hell of being able to go on that beach without any hindrance. I can tell you that because you're going to be overrun. But somehow we okay with that. Just like how we were okay with them bringing Mexican sand and dumping it on our 7 Mile Beach. Same dark organization, they did it. Nobody said that in Kirk Tibbetts. Let me tell you something. I don't know how you can sleep at night knowing what you've done to this country and what you gave away from this country and what you continue to do in this country. I don't know how you can sleep at night, you and all like you. Because you're not the only one. Ridiculous how you all sell this country out. Telling you. And as I said before, for all permanent residency holders and all status holders who have a problem with the Caymanian people doing infrastructure upgrades, building that road in the east-west arteria so that we can have some sort of alleviation of traffic so we don't have to leave home at 4 o'clock in the morning just to get town by 8. And they can pack up on the bags, hand in on a status, hand in on a permanent residency, and then they can go home and be reminded as to why you are in the Cayman Islands. Because I think that's where we went wrong in this country. We were looking at the economic side of your impact and not the social and infrastructure impact of your existence. That's where we went wrong. That's where we went wrong. We were so concerned about that dollar that we didn't pay attention to anything else. And now you got Caymanian people who can't even afford to live in their own country. Can't afford to live here. Can't afford to live here. And now we're building this cocktail of an island where only a few people is at the watering hole. We're building all these high-end condominiums, all these high-end apartments, all these high-end complexes, all these things we're building. And okay, man, you can't afford to buy anything in there. And it need to stop. You can do it in a sustainable way. And if the Caymanian people are not at the trough, then nobody can be at the trough. We got to shut it down. So at the end of the day, you know, we keep talking about education. We keep talking about sending our children to get educated. Listen, what we're doing, we send our children abroad to get education, come back with degrees, and then continue to be marginalized and gated out because they don't have what it takes to participate. And then the hoops and the hurdles that you make them jump through and jump over in order to get in the way, and all it is a condition for them to subscribe to the already flawed system that they can't ever beat. And then we get our little few token Caymanians who get in these levels and they just leave things the way they are. They won't ever do anything. Oh well, I brought a Caymanian to work with me, Mario. You brought a Caymanian to work with you. So what happened to the other 900 of them that out there? What happened to them? Let me see if I can see some of the comments. I'm not sure. Just trying to. I don't know if I can see the comments. Maybe I can't, but anyway. Caymanian work with you. So what happened to do the other 900 of them? Sorry, I can't. I'm trying to see the comments, guys. I'm just having some trouble with my iPad. I'm using my phone. Let me know if you can see comments. Maybe. Yeah, I can't see the comments. So one of the issues that I know we currently have is where we've been unable to get ourselves at the table. We're not going to be invited, that's for sure. And for those who wiggle their way in and work hard to get in, they're so teamed and beaten down to the point where they just out of energy and then they become a part of the system. And then that's why I always coin the phrase a token Caymanian. I mean, that's just how it is. So yeah, there are a few things that we need to embark on moving forward in the future. One, we need to really hold CUC accountable for all of the foolishness that are going on over there. And I don't care what they want to say. This 3 megawatt that they're putting on now, ladies and gentlemen, don't get excited over that. We're gonna be paying for it. I want to know. I want to know why is it we paying a renewable energy surcharge and we not getting nothing in return? What are we paying for? Where it is? How long we gonna pay for it? And when we finish paying for it, who gonna own it? Because we paid to rebuild the grid and we still don't own it. And that's my biggest pet peeve, is that we take this grid back. We take this grid away from the utility company. We need to own the distribution grid. And I know they're gonna say all kind of foolishness about, well, you don't know that. Listen, the same people you got hired to take care of it, the same people we keep hired. And the money you taking from Data Link and the money you taking as a surcharge on our bill to maintain it, we use that money be directed to us and put that in the sovereignty, and we use that to pay the same people that maintain it now. So we're not even gonna skip a beat. Not even gonna skip a beat, nothing. Same way it run now, the same way it kept running, just come out of your hands. So therefore, when we have somebody else that want to provide a cheaper energy, we can then reasonably look at it and don't have you looking over our shoulder saying this is our grid. No, it's our grid. It need to be to the sovereignty of this country, to the people. The people of this country need to own the grid. So, and one of the other things that need to change is the planning law. The planning law is what got us all screwed. The planning law that tells you can't get a certificate of occupancy for your house unless you connect it to CUC. Now, imagine this. I can't go out and get a planning approval to build a house without an electrical drawing that requires you to be plugged into CUC. You all understand what I try and tell you? I can't go build a house and buy an alternative energy plant and put in put on my house. I won't be able to get a certificate of occupancy from planning department. You all understand this, right? These are the sort of stupidness that we got in our laws that need to change. Why is it a law that I need to be connected to CUC to live in my house to get a certificate of occupancy? Because what's stopping me from going buy a generator, set it up in my backyard, hook up a tank, and run my own generator and my own diesel? What's stopping me from doing that? Nothing. But I can't get a certificate of occupancy because I'm not connected to CUC. It's the biggest joke in the world. Yeah. So I can tell you, these are the sort of things that need to change. These are the sort of things that need to change. So Friday we're gonna talk about some other stuff, about the pension and the distribution of the pension, the performance of the pension. I want to know why the pension house is not being held accountable for poorly performing investment vehicles that they've been putting our money into. I want to know why why they don't buy out Fortis. Why a pension provider here don't collectively get with the other pension providers and buy Fortis out? Why? Is there a reason why? Is something in government stopping them from doing that? Why don't they buy Fortis out and run with them Canadians from here owning anything in this country? Why we don't buy them out? There's $1 million question. Why is it that our pension providers don't collectively come together and buy out Fortis, own 51% of CUC, buy them out, run them out of this place? Let's give it to the people. Let's let people buy it. Yeah, and any other company around here that is providing a utility, pension, buy it. Buy out Digicel, buy out Flow, buy them out, buy shares in the mid. That's where your investment money. Those are the investment vehicles we should be in. But nobody not doing anything in the best interest of the small people in this country. They're doing it in the best interest of themselves. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I got to go now because I have a meeting over at the government building. Yeah. Anyway, and I just want you all to know that we're launching Jet Around for the Easter weekend. It's coming back. So I'll be bringing it back. It'll be a big race. We're just doing our regular routine sponsorship, donations. All proceeds go to holding the events, prize money and whatnot. So it's kind of a non-profit because it costs me money to have it. I do it only because it's a well-needed event. It was a well-attended event. The young people in the country used to love it, so I given it back. So I I was able to get it from the Rankin family, Kenny, and I want to send them a big thank you for helping facilitate that deal. So we got it. So now we're able to put it back into the community. And I'm gonna do a veterans class this year. So for all those people who raced and jet around, who got a big beef bellies now, listen, we gonna have a little prize money for them. So they can come out. We can have a medevac following on around because I doubt on can make it all the way around, but just saying. So yeah, that's what we're doing on the Easter weekend. So thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Again, give me some feedback on the new background. I don't know if you guys like it. I made sure and do the Georgetown Harbor, Hawkeye Bay, which is near and dear to my heart because I grew up down Walker's Road, and many days we ride bicycles off of that wharf out there and had fun growing up in Cayman. So that's why I chose that particular background. I could have chose anywhere else in this island, but I love Hawkeye Bay. I love Georgetown Harbor. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Tune in on Friday. Hopefully we'll have most of these little bugs worked out. With this new software, we had a few things that me and the producer had to work out, a little frustration between it all. But now we finally got it all sorted. I'm on. I assume you can hear me, and things seem to be going pretty good. And hopefully Friday we'll be in a better shape in regards to starting on time and getting it flowing. What I have noticed with this particular stream, I haven't seen it freeze any. It's been flowing pretty good, and I think we're onto something good here. So early next month we're gonna start a roundtable discussion with the younger people. Let them bring in some of their point of views and ideas and solutions and hear what they got to say. So thank you again, and we'll see you on Friday. Oh, there's the comments. You have to pay for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it. The fuel companies, you better buckle up too. Jackson Point pipeline have to be reverted back to the ownership of the country. Oh, Mario, you can't tell them how to operate their business. Well, yes, we can. Having this idea that you're going to impose what's best because of what the law tells you can do will cause an uprising in this country that you've never seen before. My children are going to be saddled with the debt of a billionaire so that he can have his name printed on everything we got around here. Because let me tell you something, this is Dart Island.